46. हसी गेला दुई प्रभु सन्यासी स्थाने विश्वंभर सन्यासी रे करीला praname. The two Prabhus smiled as they went to the sannyasi's house. Vishwambara thereupon offered obeisances to the sannyasi. 47 and 48. देखिया मोहन मूर्ति द्विजेर नंदन सर्वांग सुंदर रूप प्रफुल्ल वंदन संतोषे सन्यासी करे बहु आशीर्वाद धान वंश सुविवाह हओ विद्या लाभ. On seeing Vishwambara's most enchanting form, beautiful limbs, and smiling face, the sannyasi, in great satisfaction, offered him various benedictions. May you achieve wealth, family, good wife, and learning. प्रभु बोले गोसानी ने नाहे आशीर्वाद हेना बला तोरे हओ कृष्णेरा prasad. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, O Gosani, he is addressing to the sannyasi, this is not a benediction. Rather, you should say, may you attain the mercy of Krishna. The followers of the modern day late Mr. Nandi, who was an extremely attached householder, worshipper, worshipper of Gauranga, support this Dari sannyasi's philosophy. The Dari sannyasi's conception of blessing is to attain a beautiful wife, wealth for exploiting the poor, materialistic education, and a thirst to maintain the prestige of one's hereditary caste to impress inferiors. Sri Gaurasundara did not approve the conceptions of such extremely attached householders, Baba Thakuras, and pointed out the faults in Dari Sannyasi's blessings. Since lusty people cannot understand the mentality of the desireless Paramhamsa Vaishnavas, they consider the Vaishnavas to be like themselves. The Dari Sannyasis have gradually embraced the philosophy of the caste Goswamis. Sriman Mahaprabhu has not at all accepted the philosophy of the caste Goswamis. Rather, he established that the mercy of Krishna is the topmost benediction to teach the married Goswamis. People who pray for material benedictions highly esteem activities that are devoid of devotion to Vishnu and that fulfill their lust. In that state, they cannot understand the principle of Nishkama Paramahamsa Bhagavata Dharma, selfless, pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and they consider non-Vaishnavism created by Smarthas to be Vaishnavism. The caste Goswamis and Dari Goswamis are anxious to acquire the title of Gosani from the people of this world. On the pretext of offering respect to the sannyasis, Mahaprabhu also addressed the sannyasi as Gosani. Actually, they can never be Goswamis. The mentality of Sri Chaitanya Deva has already been revealed in such verses as Srimad Bhagavatam, Adanta Gopir Vishatam Tamishram, and Sri Rupa Goswami's Vacho Begam Manasakroda Begam Matirna Krishne Swato Vamito Abhipadayate Griha Vritanam Adanta Gopir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Puna Charvita Charvananam. Because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. So it is said that for a materialistic people, there is no inclination towards devotional service. His aim is instead of controlling his senses, he is always in the pursuit of sense gratification. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at the Gosani's house, sannyasi was giving him some benedictions. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, this is not the right benediction. These benedictions are more sought of by people who are of materialistic nature, who don't understand the Supreme Lord, or who don't understand the real purpose of human birth. And He says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one should bless that Krishner Mati Rastu. Always remember Krishna or always serve Krishna. That should be the benediction one should give, because none of these materialistic pursuits is going to help us in our final pursuit, or you can say the ultimate goal for a living entity. So the couple of verses quoted here, like even Prahlad Maharaj tells in Canto 7 to his father that people should, they have to take to Vanaprastha life, and otherwise Grahasthas will be falling into an Andhakupa or a dark well. And he advises his father that beyond a point, people should just take the surrenderance to the lotus feet of Krishna. On the other hand, we also see Srila Rupa Goswami giving us an Upadeshamrita, how people should control their vacha, vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udaropastha vegam, etan veha, vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam apimam prithvim sa sishyan. That person who can control these six vegas can become a teacher to the whole world. So one should not be driven by the pursuit of always, sense gratification of its own senses. And that will only lead us to the Andhakupa, will lead to a well which is very dark and to hellish conditions. And rather, we should understand that the enjoyer and controller is Krishna, and one has to serve Rishikena Sevanam. We have to serve the our senses to please the senses of the Supreme Lord, who is the controller of, he is the Rishikesha. He is the controller of our senses. So we have to please the Supreme Lord. Text 50, Vishnu Bhakti Ashirvada Akshaya Avyaya Yeba Leela Gosani Tomara Yogya Naya. The benediction of devotional service to Vishnu is inexhaustible and indestructible. Whatever you have said, O Goswami, does not befit you. So the service to devotional service to Lord Vishnu has no end and is inexhaustible and indestructible in nature, and it is kind of permanent as well. Whereas the wealth, children, beautiful wife, and material education are all very temporary in nature, and Lord Vishnu is eternal. The Vaishnavas are eternal, and the Vaishnavas' devotional service to Supreme Lord Vishnu is eternal. The benediction of devotional service to Vishnu is not at all destructible and not exhaustible. People address you as Guru and Gosani, and if you are so, then it is never proper for you to award such worldly temporary benedictions. Here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells the sannyasi that don't give such worldly benedictions or temporary benedictions to people who come to you. हसिया सन्यासी बोले पूर्व ये सुनीला साका साथे तहारा अजी निंदा न पाइला. The sannyasi then smiled and said, I am now directly experiencing what I have previously heard about. Bhala se bali te loka tenga lana daya ye vipra putrera se mata vyavasaya. If good advice is given, people will chase you with a stick. The behavior of the son of a Brahmana is just like that. The Dari sannyasi said, if good advice is given to people, they respond with outrage. Today I have direct evidence of that. The son of Brahmana has taken on the business of perverting the truth. So it seems the Dari sannyasi is still not accepting what Mahaprabhu is saying. So we'll see what happens further. Dhanavara dilami parama santoshe kota gela upakara ara amadoshe. I happily awarded him the benediction of wealth, and what to speak of appreciating it, he found fault in me. Now the sannyasi is complaining about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I had blessed him with wealth, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to find faults in me. I gave the son of a Brahmana the benediction, May you achieve wealth. But rather than feeling grateful, he has condemned me. This is certainly the work of Kali. संन्यासी बलाए सुना ब्राह्मण कुमारा केने तुम्ही आशीर्वादा निंदिले आमारा. Now the sannyasi is telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, O son of Brahmana, why do you criticize when on my benediction? When I given benediction, why are you criticizing me? पृथ्वी ते जनमिया येन कैला विलासा उत्तम कामिनी यारा नाराहिले पासा. यारा धाना नाही तारा जीवने की काजा हे न धाना वरा दीते पाओ तुम्ही लाजा. If one who has taken birth in this world does not engage in sense gratification, does not enjoy beautiful women, and does not accumulate wealth, then what is the use of this life? And you are embarrassed to accept the benediction of such wealth. Now the sannyasi is again muddling with the same benediction of material benediction he gave, and he says, if one is not able to embrace these worldly desires, worldly sense gratification, then what use? If after coming into the material world, a person does not enjoy the intimate association of women, then there is no use of this life. What use is there in the life of one who, after receiving a human birth, does not accumulate wealth? I awarded you the benediction that you would achieve wealth and women, but you are embarrassed to accept them. This is astonishing. There is no way to progress in this world without wealth, and I cannot understand how one can fulfill his stomach by possessing devotional service to Vishnu. So again, counteracting sannyasi, still his mind is full of material sense gratification, and he's talking like this. हैलावा विष्णु भक्ति तोमारा शरीरे धाना बीना की कई बात कहा मोरे. Tell me, even if you have devotion to Vishnu, what will you eat if you do not have wealth? Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is replying. हसे प्रभु सन्यासीरा वचन सुनिया श्रीहस्त दिलेना निजा kapale tuliya. On hearing the words of the sannyasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled and raised his hand to his forehead and touched his forehead. Oh, hearing the foolish arguments of the Dari sannyasi, Gaur Sundara hit his forehead with his hand while saying, Haya, Haya. व्यापादेशे महाप्रभु सबर शिखाया भक्ति बिना केहा ये न खींचो न छाया. By this action, Mahaprabhu taught everyone not to aspire for anything other than devotional service. In this pastime, Sriman Mahaprabhu clearly revealed the importance of devotional service and the significance of all other activities, and thus taught everyone that they should not desire anything else. In the course of teaching, he included the instruction to give up desires for material enjoyment. So Mahaprabhu, by hitting his head with his hand, showed the other people that this sannyasi is such a foolish person, that he is focusing on material benedictions and sense gratification, that is Kanaka, Kamini and Kirti. Kanaka is one person who is running towards wealth. Kamini is the person who is running behind a woman, and Kirti is one person running towards fame. So in this world, people who are running towards Kanaka, Kamini and Kirti are going to be stuck in this world of repeated cycle of birth and death. सुना सुना सन्यासी गोसानी ये कही बा निज कर्म ये आचे से आपाने मिली बा. Listen, O sannyasi Gosani, we will all certainly eat whatever is destined by our karma. In answer to the Dari sannyasi's question, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, because he was asking, how will you eat without benediction of attaining wealth? And Mahaprabhu said, living entities will get the opportunity of receiving unsolicited foodstuffs as a result of their respective karma, and food will certainly come automatically, just as newborn baby automatically gets its mother's milk as food without endeavor. Dhanavamsa निमित्त संसार काम्य करे बाला तारा धाना वंश तबे के ने मारे. If wealth and family are the aim of life, then tell me why are they taken away at the time of death? If human beings have a natural taste for only desiring material objects like wealth, children, women, then in spite of their desire, why these things are taken away or forced away from at the time of, they have to give up these things at the time of death. ज्वरेरा लागिया केहा कामना न करे तबे केना ज्वर आसी पीड़ाया शरीरे. No one wants fever, and why then does fever appear and afflict one's body? If simply by desiring a benediction one would attain the result, then why does unsolicited fever appear and afflict the body of a living entity? Even without prayer, one automatically obtains an object, and if one does not obtain an object despite prayer, the uselessness of one's desire is established. So, whether we desire or not, our body gets afflicted by unwanted things as well. So, that is like even if we don't desire a disease, the disease or the fever comes to us. So, even without prayer, one automatically obtains an object. And if one does not obtain an object despite the prayer, the uselessness of one's desire is established. So, despite praying, if one does not get an object, and that's also becomes that desire is totally useless. Sona sona gosani iha rahe tu karma kona mahapurushe se jane e marma. Listen, Gosani, the cause of this karma. What great personalities knows this in truth? वेदे ओ बुझाया स्वर्ग बले जाना जाना मूर्ख प्रति केवल से वेदेरा करुणा. Some people claim that the Vedas indicate the heavenly planets are the goal of life, but such teachings are simply the compassion of Vedas on the foolish, compassion of the Vedas on the foolish. As a result of one's karma, fruits such as wealth are achieved. It is also heard that by the influence of pious activities, one can achieve fruits like heavenly pleasures. And greedy, materialistic, ignorant people have been shown compassion by Vedic injunctions prescribed to rectify their respective natures. In this regard, one should discuss verses such as Parokshavado Vedoyam Loke Vyavayamisam. Childish and foolish people are attached to materialistic, fruitive activities, although the actual goal of life is to become free from such materialistic activities. Therefore, the Vedic injunctions indirectly lead one to the path of ultimate liberation by first prescribing fruitive religious activities, that is like karma kandi stuff or the karma yoga stuff. And just as the father promises his child candy so that the child will take his medicine. In this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meat eating, and intoxication. So, people are constantly, the materialistic people are striving towards uh, the eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, which even animals do. So, what is the difference between the human beings and animals? Human beings have the extra sense of thinking or reasoning. They can ask, why am I suffering like this, or why am being put in this situation? And then he looks for answers to his inquisitiveness. He can be jigyasu. He can inquire as to why he's been always into this cycle of birth and death. Whereas the animals do the same thing of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending or being defensive, and but they cannot think. If you go and feed an animal, go ask him to say, chant the Maha Mantra or say Hari Bol, he will not do anything. But if you give him some foodstuffs, he will take the foodstuffs. But for a human being, he has the extra sense to question things, has the power of reasoning and the power of thinking as well. Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such materialistic activities. Although the scriptural injunctions provide for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offerings, and for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine, such ceremonies are meant for ultimate purpose of renunciation. People who are averse to the Supreme Lord take pleasure in becoming lords of mundane objects. So people who don't accept the Supreme Lord, what do? They lord it over the nature and they become their little lords of their homes, of their society, of their area, and they try to become their little lords, little controllers, without being completely in ignorance that they are ultimately being controlled by the Supreme Lord. And they think that they are their small lords of their family, of their caste or community. That is why Vedic literatures give various forms of encouragement that are favorable to their taste. Yet, this is not the actual purpose of Vedas. We'll take one or two more verse and then stop for the day. Vishaya sukhete bada lokera santosha chitta bhuji kahe veda vedera ki dosha. People take great pleasure in material happiness, and the Vedas offer directions according to their mentality. What is the fault of the Vedas? Dhana putra pai ganga snana hari name suniya chalaye loka vedera karane. The Vedas declare by taking bath in the Ganges and chanting the name of Hari, one will achieve wealth and children, and people therefore engage in such activities. So, for the ordinary people, when it is mentioned in the scriptures that once you take bath in Ganga, you remove your sins, so people follow that blindly, and they may again, after taking bath in Ganga, again may perform the sins. So they don't realize what is being told. And it is also told that they take bath in Gangas and chanting the name of Hari, one can achieve worldly wealth and a large family. And that also people do that because they are focused on the results, fruitive activities, that if I do this, I would get wealth and a good family. That is why they glorify the Vedas as helpful to their sense enjoyment. But by engaging in activities like taking bath in Ganga and chanting the name of Hari, their natural contamination is destroyed and an inclination for the Lord's service is awakened. So by doing this, they acquire some sukruti and eventually they will come to chant the holy names of Lord. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.